have to ask, is the cake a lie?
No, you can go to it.
Welcome one, welcome all to your guide to speedrunning Portal 2 in 15 minutes or less, presented by GEICO. I'm Emma Fife. Here today to help us dive into the world of speedrunning Portal, thanks to our friends over at Games Done Quick, is the wonderful Can't Even. I like the piano setup that's behind you there. I feel like you are a man of many talents.
Well, I mean, really, it's just music and speedrunning. That's
Just music and speedrunning. Hey, listen, those are not talents to just dismiss lightly. Okay, so let's start off with some of the basics. Portal 2 is a puzzle game, and as a speedrunner, it ultimately hinges on you knowing the game really, really well, and so that takes out the puzzle element of it. Does it still feel like a puzzle game when you're speedrunning it?
While speedrunning the game, it's more of not a puzzle game, but just trying to perform the actions that I already know, but trying to perform them as I want to, trying to get to the end, trying to move quickly, shoot all the portals in the right place as quickly as possible without messing anything up. That's what the action of speedrunning the game is. But there is another thing, routing the game. Speedrunning, obviously, I don't come up with everything that I do in the speedrun. There's a lot of people who work behind the scenes and often don't get the credit they deserve, who come up with the routes and can think about the glitches and like probe into the game to try to figure out how to beat the game as fast as possible. And that honestly kind of is a puzzle in itself. It's just not the puzzle that the developers intended.
Let's go ahead and break down some of those tips and tricks for speedrunning the game. So first up, bunny hopping. For anybody at home that doesn't know what that is, can you break it down for us? I mean, I think it's fairly self-explanatory, but...
Yeah, bunny hopping is basically the exploitation of a mechanic that allows you to control your direction in the air.
Yes.
Obviously, in real life, if you're falling in the air, you can't really change your direction. But that doesn't happen a lot in real life, so it's not a problem. But in video games, that happens all the time.
It's a lot of falling, yeah.
The developers of the game decided it would be pretty dumb if you couldn't control your direction in midair. So they allowed a mechanic to do that. You can change your direction in midair by moving your mouse and then hitting a button on the keyboard at the same time. But that also gains speed. It gives you a slight amount of speed. And what you can do is by repeatedly jumping, you're essentially always in the air, so you're always falling. And then if you move your mouse left and right back and forth and hit strafe left and strafe right on the keyboard back and forth, you can gain speed just by strafing. That is essentially what bunny hopping is. It sounds simple because it is ultimately fairly simple, but it takes hundreds of hours of practice to really get good at it. But.
Yeah. What would you say are, in addition to movement, some of the other specific tips for how to speedrun Portal 2? Like, what other sort of techniques would you need to master or learn to recognize?
Well, you need to be able to shoot portals quickly and accurately. I was looking back over some of my runs in preparation for this, and I actually realized just how many portals you shoot in the run, and they all, obviously, you shoot them all extremely quickly. The quicker, the better. You have to be able to aim precisely enough to shoot the portals. It's not like aiming for a headshot in Counter-Strike. It's not that precise.
Right.
But you still need to do it precisely enough because you can't miss. If you miss, you have to reshoot the portal. And if you miss and you like jump off a ledge before, that can be like 10-15 seconds of time loss or something.
How did you work on your aim? Like, did you use visual cues in the background, or how, again, did you like go about perfecting landing your portals in the exact right place?
Well, I mean, it's not like the shots are hidden. In Portal 2
right.
and Portal 1, all the shots are on white walls. On white walls, you can shoot portals. On dark walls, you cannot shoot portals. But I think probably some of the things that helped me in doing that are I played a lot of CSGO and TF2.
Okay.
While I was learning how to speedrun Portal 2.
Nice.
That certainly may have helped.
Yeah.
And something that I did a bit later, this was while I was already fairly good, was I decided on a mouse sensitivity, and then I stuck at that mouse sensitivity. I never changed it. Some people will say, like, you need to find the perfect mouse sensitivity that, like, perfectly reflects your movement.
Totally.
But there really is no perfect sensitivity. The only thing is you need just the same one, and you need to spend years getting used to it. And eventually, it'll feel like the mouse is an extension of your arm.
Yeah, exactly. It's whatever mouse sensitivity works for you personally that you feel like you like, and then you just need to practice that over and over again. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but listening is a big part of speedrunning in Portal 2. Is that accurate?
Yeah. At the end of almost every map, every chamber in the game, and there's like 60 of them, either GLaDOS, Wheatley, Cave Johnson, or the announcer will talk. And Portal 2 has some really good dialogue. If you somehow haven't played the game yet, I would highly recommend playing it just for the experience, the puzzle solving, and the dialogue especially. It's a very funny game.
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to work on the assumption that you're still alive, and I'm just going to wait for you up ahead.
And because it was so funny, the developers did not want you to finish the level before they stopped talking. And basically, due to some complicated reasons in the way that they implemented that, if you enter the elevator at the wrong time, there's going to be a few seconds between when they stop talking and when the level ends.
Because of the technical difficulties we are currently experiencing, your test environment is unsupervised.
But if you enter the elevator at the right time, there will be no time in between when they stop talking and when the level ends.
An Aperture Science reintegration associate will revive you for an interview when society has been rebuilt.
And what that means for speedrunners is, in most elevators, you enter the elevator during a specific word that they say. And what that means for most new speedrunners is you'll have like a notepad document or just an actual physical notepad with just a bunch of words written on it. And then when the NPC says those words, that's when you enter the elevator. So obviously you need to hear those words.
Right.
It's possible to do it with subtitles and just time it when the subtitle appears on screen, but it's a lot easier to do it hearing it.
Now, you mentioned some glitches or even more specifically in Portal 2, tricks and things that you can take advantage of in the game, and like being able to create scenarios wherein you can fly. Can you break down some of those in-game sort of nuances?
It's difficult. It would be difficult to count the glitches in Portal 2.
Sure.
As you mentioned, there is flying, which has been... Flying was found, essentially, I believe, the day after the game came out.
Oh, wow.
And the game's been out for 10 years.
Yeah.
Even a lot of people who don't speedrun will know about flying. But flying is useful a lot in Chapter 8 and Chapter 9. That's obviously... I don't even think about it as a glitch, really, because that's just how the game works.
Right.
But, you know, that's obviously not how it's supposed to work. That's kind of a huge deal in those later chapters. One of the bigger things that the community has found relatively recently is a Super V portal, which is basically if you can get yourself stuck in a ground or in a wall and then shoot portals a lot, you can gain way more speed than you'd be supposed to, and you can get launched out of the ground really high up. That's useful in a lot of places.
Portal 2 is really unique in speedrunning in that it actually does have a co-op mode. So can you explain how team speedrunning works in the game?
Right. Well, it's not actually as different from a regular single-player speedrunning as you would think. Because in a regular single-player speedrun, you know exactly what you're going to do as you walk into the game. For co-op speedruns, it's the same deal. You know exactly what you're going to do, but your partner also knows exactly what they're going to do. And you know exactly what they're going to do, and they know exactly what you're going to do. So unless something goes wrong, it's really a lot like single-player speedrunning. It's just with a lot more active environment.
So I have to ask, you're more into the speedrunning community and more adept at Portal 2, but you have dabbled in OG Portal as well. But the two games are actually pretty different as far as speedrunning goes.
Yeah, speedrunning communities are kind of specific to one game. There isn't really a large speedrunning community for every game.
Right.
There's different communities for every game, and that holds true for Portal 2 and Portal 1. They're very separate communities. There's people like myself who are members of both, certainly more than a few of us. But for the most part, they're two entirely separate Discords, two entirely different speedrun.com pages, entirely different sets of tutorials. The only thing really that holds the games together is that they're both made by Valve, and they both have portals in them. Portal is a much shorter game. The current world record in any percent, which is the fastest category, is 6:26 by me. I have done a little bit more than dabble in that game.
I mean, I would say so. If you're a world record holder, that's a little more than dabbling. Now, I do have a very important question. I have to ask, is the cake a lie?
No, you can go to it. There's in Portal 2, well, in Portal 1 rather, it's very easy to go out of bounds. And the room that the cake is in, you can just get there. You can shoot a portal there, and you can go in.
So you
at
can
the
just
end
get
of-
the cake.
Yeah. You actually, funny story. I think you can just walk through it because it's not solid. Certainly can't eat it. But it is
you
there.
can just walk through the cake.
Yeah.
But if you can't
Because it
eat,
was.
if you can't eat
No,
the
you
cake,
can't eat it.
then why is there a cake if you can't eat it?
Because you can't have it and eat it.
Ah, there you go. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. You just have to have it, but it's there. It's real. It is not a lie. Thank you so much, Can't Even, for joining us today and sharing your experiences and giving us tips and tricks for Portal 2.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, I know that we learned a lot today. Thank you so much for watching your guide to speedrunning in 15 minutes or less, presented by GEICO. And remember, GEICO, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.